That's really smart. Yeah, maybe. I'm not watch this. They try to engage with that lady. Leave that lady alone. Leave that lady alone.
Move back.
She has a right to hold up a placard.
There's no social distancing.
Okay.
People.
Because we're not speaking to us, it doesn't make any difference. I'm leaving.
Okay then, sir.
I'm leaving over there.
Yes, goodbye. I'll walk you out, sir.
No, you won't. You are. 2 meters. Yeah, we are. 2 meters. Unacceptable.
Wait, not touching, sir.
Now the pen's coming out. See, this is the future.
There's a chance of the tour.
Jump on me for no reason. What is your problem? What gathering?
I see you again today.
What gathering? So all this press are allowed to gather, yeah? They don't stand less than 2 metres, are they? Yeah, why? Why? Because they're putting a false narrative to the media, to the world. The media are putting a false narrative to the world. Just like you officers are. The puppies, what are going on like that, yeah?
If I see you again, I'm going to give you a ticket. Go away. Go away.
Section 26, alarm of distress.
As I'm speaking to you, I can smell cannabis on you. Your eyes look very glazed. Okay? You have any drugs on you? You've got nothing on you. You had it on this morning. So basically you stink, right? So I'm going to be circling on the section 23. You understand my ground, yeah? Your eyes look glazed. You seem a little bit out there, and you stink of absolute stuff, right? So I'm going to be circling. I search you, nothing found. And a copy of the report is going to be made, and you're now getting a copy of that report. If you know what one today, if you know what one today, you've got 12 months to have it, you understand? Over the 75,000 people this was very interactive. Okay, you were part of this gathering. I've already seen you up there. Wait for me. You can speak down. No, I'm telling you to leave, otherwise I'm here to speak out gathering. I'll listen to your questions.
I know you're doing the job, mate, so I'll just say, like, well, mate.
I've already spoken to him, and he told me they just spoken to by other officers. I cannot issue a ticket. No, if I do not know who you are, no. That could be anyone.
Ask for your, ask for who you are.
So you don't have any proof of ID or address on yourself? How do I know that's your bank card? No, honestly, this is not a question.
This is my bank card.
How do I know that?
I'll totally can't know that. I'll totally can't.
You see my bank card?
I'll totally can't remember the sort code. I'll totally can't.
Anyone could have it and say it's theirs, can't they, sir?
Sort code 110358.
That means nothing to me.
So that's like looking.
That means nothing to me.
What else do you want, mate?
I don't want it on me. I've only got my bank card on me.
The suggestor, it's time to go. Otherwise, if I cannot verify who you are, I'll have to possibly summon you to court or possibly arrest you.
Summon me to court?
Yes.
For what?
Because I don't know who you are.
I just showed you my bank card.
I'm not taking that as adequate ID.
Oh, he just took his.
Yeah, I'm a different officer.
You're a different officer?
I'm a different officer. My criteria is different. I've got personal different threshold.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sir. So if I could invite you down there to wait for your friend. You have no ID on you, no? Just to confirm. You've got no way of proving your name or address.
I've got my bank card on me. That's my ID. It's got my name on it.
You've got no way of proving your name or address to me.
I'll tell you my name.
Again, I could make up the name and address. What comes to this?
I'm in Bellman.
Are you on bail? Then you can't really afford to get arrested, can you?
I'm not on bail for that. Seriously.
But, well, a judge will look at it and go, he's breaching his bail.
You don't know
So, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to think about this.
Think about what?
If you go wait down there, you can wait for your chum. I believe you're part of this gathering.
I'm not here for no gathering.
I believe you're part of it. Multiple officers have spoken to you. Listen to the words I'm saying. It doesn't matter what you think, it's what I think. And I believe you're part of that. Okay? It doesn't matter.
We just went down there to get McDonald's.
Go get your McDonald's.
I've had it already. Just got a little bit
Yeah,
further.
that's all.
Just walking past back up.
Then go. Then go. What are you still doing
You
here?
see us walk down and now we're walking back up. And that's it. You're back to the station. Have you asked every single one of these
I'm
what they're
after
doing
you,
now?
sir, yes,
What
so
are
I'm
you
going to go on
doing
to the next person. I'm working. I have an exemption under law, believe it or not.
So when you sit in a van, are you observing social distancing?
Say that.
How can you observe in a van like that?
Because there's 2 meetings.
Oh, bollocks.
Is there? Oh, I forgot you're an expert, sir.
I'm an expert, yeah.
Well, yeah, you're an expert in something, I'll grant you that much. So it is time to go now.
I don't need to go there.
1983 male white couple.
Yeah, I'm just waiting. What do you mean? What, you're arresting me? What? I'm considering arresting them. I'm going. I'm waiting for me.
If he goes and waits down there, that's fine. We can go around the wrong way. Well, you're not wanting to touch part of this government anymore. We're walking over there halfway. If you leave, he goes and waits you over there, that's fine.
No, don't wait across the road. Yes. Over there by the van, yeah? Is that right? Yes. Across the road, yeah?
That's what I'm saying to you, leave.
I'll wait across the road.
And sir, it's 9:25. If you are back in this vicinity,
9:27.
you are part of this process. Okay? If you come back now, I'm telling you, you're part of this gathering. Well, one person at a time. What I will say, Paul, you'll be fine. Your friend who comes back here and will arrest him. Can you let him know that? Because I don't feel. I think he's part of the all right, we're going to follow it.
Do you understand that?
And then stack the appeal, which in the case of about 2 years.
That would just be
Džulijan Asanž!
I've got your back, Marcus.
Move
guys, move guys. On distance. Got your back.
Yeah. Make a quick statement.
Get some distance. Hey guys, get some distance.
Watch out, watch out.
We're done, Matt.
Free Džulijan Asanž! I think the chances are free Džulijan Asanž! Free Džulijan Asanž!
The pavement, Please give us some space, please.
Free Džulijan Asanž! On the pavement,
He's in Australia, isn't he? He's in America, isn't he? Can I reverse? Okay, guys, grab yourself a tray. Mobile phones, electronic items all in the tray, please. Thank you. Mobile phones, electronic items, sir. Thank you. All in the tray. Thank you very much. Let's see it. Well, I said that we could meet
Yeah, by the time I got to it.
Okay, if you're council this side, anybody else this side, please? Council over this side, please.
Yeah, it's just chaos. It's like Happy New Year. One minute. Yeah, second that.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Just here.
Something like that, yeah. It's a bump. I mean,
Funny, fucking work with glasses.
Oh, mate.
Yeah, I can see, but it's not like...
You should like it. Yes, I used to have so many copies of trying to take like technical down that I just like.
Especially now with Mars.
Yeah.
And cold and hot.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many people here, you're going to be lucky to get anything, really.
It's not a guarantee, it's a guarantee.
It might have been closer around.
Okay, next please. Yeah, there's great stuff.
Oh, you don't know though.
Well, yeah, true. Well, is this part of the legal? Part of the legal?
Do you want me to go against If you use my card, then yeah.
Nice on cash. I don't think. Oh, yeah. Just do it whenever. Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Oh yeah,
I've got an idea. Let's have a black coffee then.
You were in there, weren't you? I know, I thought I'm going to I got a few and then I just came down here and got coming in.
Yeah, I saw that in Thank you everyone for joining
I know, because you're always in the middle, so I leave you
Very comfortable. Very comfortable. Okay. Not the heavy tissue. I had one from my phone.
Hold it on my camera. You don't have the connection to it. You can use the following focus, but it doesn't work in front of you. Yeah.
The cabinet, plugged all their fucking cables into the cabinet, all their power.
Cabinet?
There's a cabinet there, a black box.
No way.
Yeah, they got all their internet cables running out that cabinet into where that umbrella is, into their cameras. Yeah, there's a black box there.
Yeah, I see it now, yeah. I guess that's what you get when you got a huge media company.
Are we expecting
I thought that's a ninja then. Yeah. Mate, I'm going to buy the YOLO. I'm going to buy the solo like you. Yeah, that box is alright, but do you know why that is? For the buildings. Buildings, isn't it? So that's okay if we're not in a building.
I think you can still go live on that. You can get 500 each out for this.
Oh yeah.
Check inside boxes for me, please.
Hi guys.
Yes, I was going to say.
So do you want to finish what you were filming here? She just told me you two live together, so somebody's lying, somebody else. Yeah, I will. Give up.
When I grow up, I want to be very famous.
Because they have a lamp.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Rico.
Yes, I like it.
Are you a fast runner?
Get my glasses out of the car.
It was, yeah.
And that's Julian's children.
It's not true.
No?
No. I asked.
Not been hassled
fatiguing having to deal with this fashion.
Oh, Anthony.
So yeah, I mean, what doing stuff.
Very similar.
I was a bit confused. Do a bit of tidying and
Yeah, let me know.
yeah, no, like
We've already got
just Christmas and this thing, you
over
know.
there, isn't it?
Yeah, I was noticing earlier when I said hi. So are you going to be doing the interview?
I won't be, but your guests and stuff. So.
This is a tier 4 pandemic. This is really important. Churches, yeah, we know about anyway, I saw the lawyers
I know, that's what they say.
There's some temperature lighting.
Yeah, I'm sure we can look at it.
Yeah, really nice.
Perfect, yeah, that's what we want, yeah.
I'm going to put some LED strips in there, white at some point. Yeah, just these and then like they switch and fall down to earth, so you don't get it in the flickering. Yeah, Hue bulbs do that, unfortunately. I brought a bunch of Hue bulbs to use and some lighting in the studio, and it's like, it's a bit of just the right colour and it stops flickering. Yeah, it kept it really nice. Yeah, it's a nice bit of mix in the background.
Put down with them.
I'm allowed to listen as a fan of all that. You know what I mean?
Very much. What's the brand? One piece of. Oh yeah, we've got one piece of Manfrotto kit. That's the plate for the. That's all I can afford.
We'll try for the moment.
Thank you. What one of them heavy duty ones like that?
Yeah, it's like that. For some reason, it's just so much heavy. Really regret that. That's 70 kilograms. If you hold it like that, you'll have to do a workout for the day.
Especially for a long live stream.
Oh, yeah.
Are you freelance then?
Yeah. I just work for a business stuff.
Okay. You work for them on a freelance basis? Or
Yeah, at the moment.
Okay.
I used to work for them in Berlin. I was working at one of the editors.
You do other stuff as well, apart from...
I would like to, but at the minute, it's nothing happening, so... I like to film documentaries and stuff.
Yeah.
Hard to get started at the minute.
Yeah, there's a lot of restrictions.
Yeah, that's the biggest restriction.
Do what you've got to do, man.
Usually you're on the phone.
Yeah, man, I've upgraded. I've got a solo in the back.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. That's like $1,000, no?
I know. There's another grand as well. Yeah. Well, I started off with just my phone, off the phone like that. And then I've got a gimbal and then I've got all this sort of stuff.
Then you turn this over eventually.
Yeah.
It's straight.
Yeah. But then, yeah, just gradually moved up.
got like an hour's wait.
Yeah. Think about ending the stream and coming back. We'll get everyone back on again. What's your name? Rory.
Sam. Did anyone get any shots of him coming in? I don't think anyone got a single photo of him.
Someone might have got one with a flash.
I don't think anyone did. I didn't see
him banging on the thing.
I didn't see anyone celebrating or anything, so I don't think anyone got anything.
Oh yeah, the money shot.
The money shot, mate.
Yeah.
I'll pay the rent, that will.
In London.
So you're going to be based in now? I can't wait to be home the first story.
Right now, he's keeping no time morally, ethically, or legally. So, you know, for him to be locked up by the say-so of a certain country, it's just not on. It's not fair. It could happen to any one of us. Anyone could be just locked up and persecuted. And what he exposed of the war crimes in a small area of Afghanistan and Iraq is actually millions, hundreds of millions of people that have been killed and displaced, which is more than what COVID has affected. The whole world is talking about COVID, and it's affected less people than what Julian's actually exposed in just one of these pieces of work. So for me, it's important to be here because it's an important cause. It's fighting for people's rights, human rights, the rights of the journalists, for everyone, and for free speech. And it's unjust what they're doing with him. So yeah, that's why I'm here, to make sure that see what the outcome is and see if the British, system actually works.
And what about with the way that the trial is being conducted? Do you actually know how the trial is being conducted? Whether you think it was fair or not?
I feel it's not totally fair. There's lots of there's a lot of things that have been inaccurate. There's a lot of things that have been going against him in the court with regards to video links and with regards to many other aspects. Any way that they could try and sort of beat him down and degrade him in that way, they have done, and it's very unfair and not a just way at all to how they've conducted their supposed impartial time there.
And what do you think about how they've treated protesters?
Protesters, everyone has a different experience, good and bad. Some people don't have that much of an issue, but some protesters have been unjustly, even during this COVID time, have been wearing masks, they've been keeping distance, they've had risk assessments, but still people are actually, getting moved on, getting threatened. I know people that have just stood there on the street, passers-by, who just happened to talk to some protesters, and they've been thrown to the floor, so it's not the greatest.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was my question.
Calvin's here. Calvin's here.
Persecution must busted with the release of Džulijan Asanž. The truth is on trial. The truth is on trial.
Don't chase, don't let him just go.
The truth is on trial! The truth is on trial!
Come here, wait, come here.
Džulijan Asanž!
They put you on me.
We tell the truth, not the government of the US or the UK. We tell the truth. Wikiliksa tells the truth, and Džulijan Asanž tells the truth. Why are you people here? My name is Kelvin Benson, the LUL inspector, the man arrested for alleged threats to kill Boris Johnson on the 6th of October 2009. Whistleblowers tell the truth.
Listen up.
You're giving me a warning here.
Listen up. Okay, listen to me. Listen to me.
You're holding me.
Listen to me.
I'm not walking away. I won't walk away now. You let go of me and put on.
Stop walking away from us. Stop walking away. Stop walking away from us. Listen to this officer.
Well, you give me a warning.
Don't need to give you a warning. Mate, under anything else. Okay, because we've got a lockdown at the moment, mate. Okay, which means you've got a lawful excuse to be out, okay? What's your lawful excuse to be out? Protest isn't a lawful excuse, okay? Well, I think you are, okay? Listen to me. Listen to me.
You want me to go home or go home?
Where's home?
You're going to give me a warning.
I don't have to give you anything, okay?
You really don't have to give me nothing.
I don't have to give you anything. I'll go straight to
How many other people are here today?
Calvin, how many people have gone and told them? Most of them, okay?
Why? Because I have been a loud voice for Džulijan Asanž for years. It's the reason why I am being picked out today. Have a look at the LUL inspector and you will see the truth. You will see my truth.
This is disgraceful!
No, tell me.
Listen, you're not engaging with us.
I'll engage you now.
Okay, you're having this one warning now. Okay, you're not engaging with us. Speak to these officers. The next time we're going to have to put you arrest you, put you in the van and take you to the police station. Okay, you're not engaging with us.
I will engage with you now.
Okay, engage with these officers.
Let's take your thing. Last night in the summer we had some conversation.
Whatever tried to... Okay,
No. You will engage with me. No, you will not. Okay, you're going to engage with me.
It's coming in.
Whistleblower and I'm being targeted.
They're not going to get it.
Please, Džulijan
Džulijan Asanž! Džulijan Asanž!
I'm a whistleblower, it's what happens to us. We're targeted individuals. If you have a look at LUL Inspector, you'll see my story. Arrested, charged and incarcerated for an alleged threat to kill Boris Johnson. I was a whistleblower about Metronet and the PPP.
While we're doing this, you just talk to me.
You're standing with fascism.
Alright, we understand.
There's a pandemic. We're all wearing masks. Yeah, but that's not it though, is it? We're being heavy-handed on purpose. Because you know what the verdict is.
You don't?
Yes, you do. That's why you've come here today in massive presence. Right, you know it. Right, and you're standing with fascism.
Told, we've engaged, we've encouraged, we've told you to go home. Are you going to leave the area?
Yeah, of course I. You're stopping me. I'm trying to leave and you're stopping me.
Move on then.
Okay, fascist, I'm off. No, we're very sorry.
Thank you very much.
Be ashamed of yourself. Everyone's ashamed of you.
You get the ice now? Yeah, everyone's like, everyone was first, like what's going on? Yeah, I think
Targeted individual, whistleblowers. We are targeted individuals. You see how quick? You see how quick they took me away within seconds of my arrival. Obviously, am I causing violence? Am I giving anyone am I threatening anyone? No, I don't do that now. I told you before.
Apart from Boris Johnson.
No, that's bullshit. No. I was arrested.
Oh, you're arrested?
For that.
Sorry, I thought
do you not think that was fabricated evidence? Do you think I'd be walking the streets of London if I'd made a threat to kill Boris Johnson? Think about that. Think about it. No, think about it. Seriously.
I will do. No,
think about it. Seriously.
Looking at him, you have a little thing to make sure that you're
No, you treat me as a black man. You put black.
Did you think it's yours?
You treat me as a black man in 1970. That is how the police treat me.
Is that what you like to do?
Yes, that is how you treat me. You treat me like a black man in 1970 Britain. That is how you treat me. Whistleblowers, truth tellers. We are treated like black men in 1970s England. And that is where we're going back to. 1970s Britain, where whistleblowers and truth tellers and publishers like Džulijan Asanž are treated with no respect. Treated like black men in 1970s England.
So while I'm talking to you, see what I'm going through now is currently to do with the COVID legislation, which of basically a gathering of 2 or more people, which you're here as part of a bigger gathering.
I'm here on my own. I'm here as an individual, as a whistleblower.
Okay? Happy for you to argue at a different stage then, okay? What's your home address, Gavin?
I've got 100 million
Would you care to write it down from the college? Would you write it down from? You don't want to say it? You got any documentation you on you? Any way we can verify it? We do need to do that. We need to verify your address. You write it down so no one sees it. There'll be copies something. Up in Jamaica.
I don't think she's done an interview with anyone else, so... Yeah, that was a lucky one. Yeah, only interview of her in the country.
Oh, right. Well, that's impressive. So where did you find her then?
Well, we were just wandering around and...
we were walking along together and yeah.
Hello people, I've been stopped because I'm a whistleblower with a loud mouth. Whistleblowers, truth printers are targeted individuals. I arrived in 1 minute. I've been stopped because I've got a loud mouth and I called for free Džulijan Asanž. Top man, Gordon. Look at me, right? Is that the right place? No. No, Bravo's fine. I don't think that Hello, Eric. Hey, man. How you doing? Right, mate. Yeah, I told you Christian Mumble Weather instructing you before you your duty. I'll tell you why they don't like me. I'll tell you why they don't like me. I've got a loud voice. I've got a very loud voice. And this is like... Christian Mumble Weather instructing you before your duty. I'll tell you why they don't like me. I'll tell you why they don't like me. I've got a loud voice. And I've got a very loud voice. And they don't like it. They don't like it, my man. Come on, move away. Well, I can't, unfortunately. We should arrest them. We should really. You got a contact phone number? Take care. No, I don't know.
That's right, mate.
That's how you. That's how quickly they told you. Oh, yeah, it's amazing. Amazing. It's like a football account.
Free speech, freedom of the press. The fact that the whistleblower is in jail, but the people he's reported have committed the war crimes, the government corruption, the political election fraud, the illegal torture. All of those people are free. They're going home and eating dinner with their families every day. But Džulijan Asanž, who's exposed those crimes, is still in prison. Now, there is no charge against him. The only charge is telling the truth. Obama tried to prosecute Džulijan Asanž for 7 years and he gave up because he knew there was no way of achieving that prosecution unless he went after First Amendment rights to free speech. Unless you go for free speech and you just say no more free speech, there's no way to prosecute him. He's done nothing but be a journalist. So this is one of the most important cases of our lifetime. And it's so important because everything else will be affected. As you see, we're already living in a police state. We arrived here this morning and were told we had no right to be here. They stole Allison's PA that we had for the event. They've taken posters and all of our banners and our flags and everything we were going to use today. Has been stolen from us. When we went into court to wait in line for the public gallery, we were told we couldn't be there, even though it's our legal right to view a trial.
You weren't given access to the public gallery?
No, they got everybody out of the line but the first 2 or 3 people because they told us they knew that the gallery was closed today. And we said it's not closed, it can't be closed to the public, there have to be seats. So then they changed it that there's 3 or 4 seats, so we got to stay for a little bit. And as soon as those people went in, then they started saying you can't be here, you have to leave, and trying to issue everybody with fines. Do you know, yesterday all around the world, in every city, New York City, Berlin, all over Switzerland, all over Europe, there were Assange protests at the American embassies for solidarity. Nobody was arrested. Everybody was in the streets protesting in every other country in the world but the UK. This is a police state here. This is a political trial. They do not want the sharing of information. That's why they're always trying to get you guys, who are independent media, from sharing the information, because they can only win if they keep the information to themselves and they prevent people from getting the information. The truth tellers are the most potent tool now. They're more dangerous than anybody with a gun. So basically, if they can get rid of the truth tellers, they can control us. That's what it's all about. And the fact that They're stopping us from going into court and trying to close it all off. They're trying to get us out of the streets. It's just a lockdown. But everywhere else in the world, even though they're in lockdown, protests are still allowed. Not here.
And what can you say about the process of this trial? Because some people might not be familiar with some of the irregularities that have gone on.
Some people
might not be familiar with all of the irregularities with the process of this trial. Has it been a fair trial?
Catch this on camera, please! Unbelievable!
The protest is currently allowed.
What he just said! What he just said! Repeat that!
Okay.
Repeat what you just said, please!
The point you talk about.
What you just said about the other people here. No, not me! The other people here.
Yeah, press only.
Right, so repeat that again now. Turn around, let that gentleman get it on camera. So everyone here is press.
No, we're getting through everyone.
You just said that everybody else here is press. He did! He did! That's why I said it's absurd.
Okay, we're trying to get through people. To be here, okay, we're going through people and checking everyone, but unfortunately,
you're a joke. That's a joke.
You just want to jump the queue.
You know why I jumped the queue. You know why I jumped the queue. Because I'm a whistleblower and I call for free Džulijan Asanž. And I will carry on calling for free Džulijan Asanž!
Calvin, you need to stop now. Yeah, I've already issued your fine. If you continue, you'll get arrested. Bottom line. Yeah, that's the warning.
Call for free Džulijan.
Okay, you understand?
Absurd. What you just said is absurd. It's absurd, sir. It's on camera. It's been caught on camera. But what you've said, and it's absurd. That claim is absurd, and you know it.
No, because it's quite clear what I said.
You just said that everybody else here is press.
No, allowed to be here.
You said that everyone else. You just said that everybody else here is press.
We are dealing with people. We're going round. As the officer said, you made it a bit obvious.
I've made the point. I've made the point. I've already made the point. I've already made the point that what you've said.
That's done.
Right.
You need to leave.
Where's my banner? I want my banner. You just said that everybody else here...
The banner might have been taken off. The banner, I think that's been gone, hasn't it? I think the banner's gone now. I think the banner's gone.
I think someone else has got it. I'm not starting any trouble. I'm not shouting out.
Calvin, I think the banner's been taken by one of your colleagues.
Well, that's what I want to get it, frankly.
That's your warning, Calvin.
Yeah, right, I'm getting my banner and I'm going, alright? Absolutely.
Well done, mate. Yeah, but you are. An FPN. Has he given you the FPN?
Yeah, no,
you get it. Is he going to send it you?
Have
a look at LUL Inspector. That's the reason why I was I was arrested in alleged threat to kill Boris Johnson in 2000. No, it's not funny.
No, it's not.
I lost my house. I was homeless for 4 years. Okay, I never killed myself. I got my way into a prison and nearly killed myself.
He's still not got his winter clothes that were left from him. And there's COVID, they say.
That's why I know why I've been in the steps first, because I know why
That's what the new setup I've got. I can't read comments all the time and control the camera. Just waiting on a new bit of little piece of equipment that can put my phone on top of my camera so I can do both at the same time. That'll probably be in the next week or so.
He's not allowed to consult with the
The doorbell is still hard.
Yes.
Whistleblowers, help us. LUL Inspector, I'm being serious. I've got all the evidence. The alleged threats to kill Boris Johnson, FTAC, and defunding. They're liars. They let down me, and they let down the MP. Go Cox. Yeah? Go Cox. She's not let down by FTAC as well. Understand? Protects every whistleblower from no one. Understand? Justice for all from nobody.
Go on your banner. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to use it? Andy? Yeah. What do you want to do with do you want the boom box?
I'll take it on, I think.
You can take No! Andy?
I'm going to sit down. Just to let you know, I might need to fudge in a little bit this way considering I don't know who's
Looks like we'll be having a statement coming out shortly. People are getting set up ready.
Sit down, Mark. Of course I So you're going to be alright there? I'm not blocking you? No. Just getting up your
Just completely COVID safe. No COVID here whatsoever.
No.
Everyone.
That's what she said.
Standing up, this is all. No, you don't do it. Behind you. Just stand up. No, that's alright, because I might sit and step behind you. No. You're standing up. Just in case standing up. Sit down. Down. Yeah, you 6. Just check. Are you happy? 12.
Sorry, Lucy. Not too bad. Not too much
can go back to now. It's been nicer. Right on top of it. You guys are going to be
You're all good. You need anything here? You're all good? I'm all good.
I mean, we don't even know if they're going to do it. It says Stella Morris. Oh, okay. They haven't given time, I guess.
You didn't?
Quite relaxing. Just use it for us and that's it. You're trying to get hold of it.
А что, все уже?
Нет, пока, но все.
Sorry, Holly, I'm not getting in the way of that.
Vertek, could you add decision imminent to the title, please?
Everyone need level one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Sorry, Tom.
Всем. Включи его, давай проверим на
8, 9, 10.
Where's all these cameras been for the last 18 months? I'd just like to ask that.
На микрофоне пипец.
Where have they been?
Glory hunters.
Eh? And now all of you get the best spots, and the people who've been covering it for 18 months, they're left at the back. You're all about yourselves, aren't you? In the media. I'll be glad when
Slightly disappointed you've been here for 18 months.
What lies will you be printing about him today, I wonder? Hey? What smears will you be printing about him today?
Will you be telling the truth at all?
Morton.
Or would you like to talk more about Sweden? That died a death, didn't it? Prostitutes.
Any chance you can put that mic on the stand? It's going to block a lot of our shots. No, not you. Otherwise it's going to block a lot of our shots. Yeah, it's going to block a lot of this magnet.
It's rested against the other microphone.
Squeeze it right.
Give it a bit more.
I'm not suggesting there's going to be any kind of mass murder at all. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. But certainly you had, above all, apart from deaths in 1090, you had the whole of society basically was dismantled and reduced to ground zero with a scorched earth policy. And that seems to be what's happening here now. I think that would be a fair assessment. So,
Yeah.
you forget Cromwell.
Yeah.
Cromwell was an idealist, he was a bit misguided, and when he banned Christmas, it was for excellent theological reasons on the grounds that Christmas was and still is a pagan festival. You know, where do is it deciduous trees, evergreen trees?
Yeah.
Where do they feature in the narrative of Jesus, who, by the way, was actually born in July? So what Cromwell did, I can support that, and if I'd been living in England at the time, I would have had a begrudging respect for closing down Christmas. It wasn't about persecuting people, it wasn't about terrorizing people.
I'll go down. It's going to be
my NTR unlock up. Okay. Yeah, alright, in that case I will.
What time is it?
What's what?
What time is it on the clock?
On the camera? If possible.
Can you read an acronym?
I can set it to whatever time of day you want.
10, 15, 46.
Just set it to the time of day. It's a funny place.
Yeah, I'll set it to my phone.
Yeah.
Leave me alone! Leave me alone! No comment! No comment! No comment! No comment! I'm 75, I have my rights! My grandfather never came back from the First World War! My father was blown up in the Second World War! And I will refuse! I refuse to be told by officers that I have no right to protest! Leave me alone!
He's been given 7 warnings.
Common law! Leave me alone! Leave me alone! Listen! I have my rights! I have my rights and I have the right to stay here! Don't tell me to go home! I have my rights! Joe! What do I do? They're holding me! They're holding me! Please leave me! Please leave me! I have the right! As everybody else has the right! Everybody has the right! So don't take me! Take the rest! Take the rest! Take the rest! Take the rest! Are you okay? Manifestanti sono fermi.
Did the right thing. Jimmy Love, what did they just do to you? I'd seen that. Why did they grab you for?
They told me I have no right to be here.
And why don't you have a right to be here?
Because I have no rights. No rights. They have. They see, they have no rights. I have no rights. I have to stay at home because of the COVID. I won't even take them.
Well.
Can you give me a shout if anyone comes out? Yeah. Just shout, Sam.
You are breaching the state of conviction. You are not going to arrest him. You're wasting your time.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, you're wasting our time by not
Oh, you're back. Oh, sorry. Come on. Sorry.
Okay, but just one next to the other?
Yeah, you just come stand next to me.
Yeah, but not in front of me, please.
Is that okay? What are you? I don't think it's okay.
Great choice for naughty.
Yes. Okay, Asanž, a real human being. Survival of millions of people depends on you. Continue to be so, and appreciate what your mother said about accepting the Catalonian award, having done something for the United
It's the truth, and you called him a rapist! Laugh away! Laugh away! You are disgusting! Disgusting! Weaponised rape! The lowest of a snake's belly!
Journalists with cameras. Statements are not going to be done here. They're going to be done in that gazebo over there. And everybody else is going to go to the gazebo. So please go there if you want a statement. If you keep your microphone here, you will not get a statement from them. Yes.
It was just that.
Well, I don't know if it's true or not, frankly. Why should they go over there when they could come here? I'll move the gazebo from there to here.
What do they say about the statement? It's not here. What do they say about the statement?
They said they're going to have you down there. It's the same thing. When people come out to give their speeches, do not bubble behind them. It's Steve.
Listen to this announcement.
Yeah. Look what we're wrong in Afghanistan. I'm exercising my right to demonstrate.
Unfortunately, demonstration is not one of the reasons why you should get out of your home.
Well, whatever you've got to do it. But I'm staying here to exercise my right to demonstrate my opposition to this kangaroo court.
Listen, I'm giving you just some advice. I said before we take action. If you don't want to take action, I'd rather engage with you and you go home. So I'm giving you the advice at this present moment in time that you need to be going home.
Well, I'm ignoring it. Because I don't recognise your authority.
Okay, you're ignoring it.
I don't recognise your authority. I do not consent to be judged by you. I do not consent to
It doesn't matter if you consent or not.
Well,
Okay, there are certain regulations in at the moment. And you are in. Listen.
Yeah, you might as well go over there because then you can run back here, can't you?
Supposed to be, yeah. Supposed to be. Even if it's end up over there, it just can't happen. Like he's already coming back from over there.
Oh, great, great.
So we should get.
He's here. He's here.
Yeah.
One more. Yes.
No legislation, right, you just said it, there is no legislation, but I'm free. So there's a lot of other people over there that you're not hassling. So why is that? Is it selective, or is it because you don't like my personal space? You don't like my personal space. You don't like the fact that I'm taking the piss out of a legislation that don't make any sense. I'm not listening to you. I'm in my personal space. You're invading my personal space, and now you are breaching the law by touching my personal property and invading my space. You're invading my space and you're touching my personal property. That's the law you're breaking. Do you not understand the law? You're supposed to support the law.
Unless you have a lawful...
I have a lawful reason. I'm demonstrating. I am demonstrating.
Going central shopping.
I am going to work after I've made my demonstration. You're still...
I was in the Soviet Union as a student for a year and a half, yes.
Can you share any similarities between what's going on now?
Well, there are similarities in terms of restrictions on free speech. Obviously, there are increasing encroachments on traditional liberties to actually speak your mind, although it hasn't gone so far that it becomes an offence for me to say this here and now. But the rules on people getting together, they are particularly insidious and sinister. The idea that you can actually meet a maximum, I like this word, a maximum of one person outside by law. That would have been unthinkable in the Soviet Union. Of course, I wasn't there at the time of Stalin, but I was there in the last years, in the early 80s. That would have been absolutely unthinkable. People would have rebelled. Even under Stalin, even in the 30s, that level of coercion and control and state, well, terrorism is not an exaggeration if the whole idea is to induce fear and terror in the population, which seems to be the agenda. And I'm not anti-conservative, I'm not anti-left-wing, I happen to be actually apolitical, if only because of what Lord Acton said about power corrupting and absolute power, of course, leading to the situation we are in now. But I think it's particularly ironic and damning and shameful that we, or many of us, I'm apolitical, voted for a conservative government and ended up with a government which seems to be a combination of the worst elements of Scientology and the Khmer Rouge.
it's beyond insanity. God help us, that's all I can say. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I'm actually somebody who is happy with vaccines. I even requested a vaccine when I spent a few months living in Africa 13 years ago. I don't have a problem with vaccines at all, but I'm only in favour of vaccines which are medically necessary. Surprise, surprise, I'm not in favour of vaccines which are not necessary. And I think it's important to point out, and again, I'm not accusing the government of anything more than I need to, but forced medication, and this is something we need to check up. I only found this out quite recently. Forced medication is specifically prohibited by what is called the Nuremberg Code. Article 6, and guess where that came from? Guess what the context that was? I don't need to go into all that, I'm sure you're all aware. So, but not only is forced medication forbidden, and I like to think the government will not stoop that far. They won't be chasing people in the streets, holding them down and jabbing them with a needle. I don't think it'll go that far, because I think there is still a basic core of humanity still left, even with people like Johnson and Hancock. But what's interesting about Nuremberg Code Article 6, it specifically says that it's a crime against humanity not just to forcibly medicate somebody, but to coerce them into medication. Now, would it not suggest that we're having a 24/7 campaign of hysterical coercion? Isn't it fair to say that? And if that is indeed the case, then clearly, my God, I thought a dog was coming from there. I'm half expecting the police to unleash some dogs on me. Because yes, we do have freedom of speech at the moment, but how much longer is that going to last? And as I say, I'm somebody who is not opposed to vaccines at all, and somebody who is not anti-state. I'm actually apolitical. But having said that, I am bitterly, bitterly disappointed with Keir Starmer. Absolute shocker. The man who is actually trying to railroad, or the word I think is bounce, the government into ever-increasing coercive, repressive, tyrannical, vicious, nasty measures against its own government. And Keir Starmer is actually upping the ante. He should hang his head in shame. And I think it's interesting how Piers Corbyn is here. And I don't agree with a lot of what Piers Corbyn says, quite frankly, although I admire him for doing it. But I think it's worth saying that Jeremy Corbyn, bless him, for all his obvious faults, he would never, never, never have sunk to the level of what Keir Starmer has done. Shameful and shocking. And by the way, I honestly, for the record and for what it's worth, I don't think Jeremy Corbyn was in any way anti-Semitic, and I happen to be Jewish, so I think I'm entitled to say that. But I don't know. Is that enough? I could happily go on forever, but I don't want to hog it.
How you think this is going to end, or if it ever will?
Will it end? Well, that's an interesting one. If I try to come up with some kind of scenario, some kind of theory, then I'm obviously laying myself open to accusations of being a conspiracy theorist. Therefore, I prefer not to. There are a whole range of possibilities. I would love to think that none of them are actually... I'm not even going to say them. We all know them, we can't say them. And by the way, I love the way that the presenters on LBC, who are probably the very last medium of free speech left in this country, if you like, it's the English 21st century version of Solzhenitsyn. Talk radio, who are opposed to this as much as I am, will not say what they think is behind this, because let's face it, we honestly don't know for certain. It's all smoke and mirrors, it's all distraction techniques, it's all it's psychological warfare. It's unbelievable. Where the hell did this come from? People have theories. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm trying to keep as open-minded and as objective and as hopeful and as optimistic as I possibly can, but God knows I think the cost on this population in terms of mental health is going to be absolutely catastrophic, and I understand, although it's hard to get statistics, that suicide has gone up by 200%, and those are the statistics from a few months ago, so I think it's going to go through the roof. Now, I'm not saying that this is a deliberate policy to actually dismantle the economy, to destroy the economy, to destroy society and civilization. I'd like to think it isn't. I'd like to think there's some other explanation, but I don't know what it is. But I have an awful feeling that we're coming to the end of an important historical epoch, which I think you could call the Enlightenment, which only emerged in Europe in the 15th century, 16th century, whatever, in which people finally moved towards a society based on logic, on objectivity, on truth, on decency, and on humanism. And that's been only around for a few centuries. But will it be around for much longer? I don't know.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Could we keep in touch? I'd love to, because I've been following your work.
Contact me on.
I don't know. These people are
Well, you know, I lived in the Soviet Union. I spent 1.5 years having these arguments with the KGB. So if you don't mind, I'd really appreciate that very much.
Меня слышишь?
Well, of course, either way it's bad. See, the schools that are open, not brainwashing children.
But I'd rather they were brainwashed and instructed rather than brainwashed. Oh, but are they being educated? Really? If it actually, I was a teaching assistant. I think being taught to read and write. Well, what's the point in having children if you're not going to raise them yourself, or have people that you trust, like people you actually know, rather than strangers to raise them? No, I agree, but there are parents who are fighting it, and obviously if you want social mobility, you need to okay, my man has one O-level, and I've got a degree. There are exceptions to the rule in you are that. Why if you have different, why can't you choose someone that you know? Why would you literally hand them to people that you know are going to what you did 8 years have the right to do that now because parents need to go to work to raise their rent. Well, you know how much it costs for each child at state schools? It costs £6.5 per child. So if you had 3, let's just take out the FCA, so it's about £6 for all the things, right? So that means if you have 3 kids, you can get £18 a year, right? To raise your children. And that would give them like 10 times the adult to child ratio, 10 times the adult to child ratio, for £18. But then, if you split that, right, so you have 2 phones to your own school, so 2.5 days a week, you get £18 for 2.5 days a week. So I'm still work a part-time job. There's just one of you, the one who looks after the kids, right? Is making £25. How are you? So you're making a decent income. So you're specialist. I'm reading about the I'm reading about the system. Like, you get your £6 and you do with it what you like. In fact, not even a voucher. Like, you just get £6 in cash. Given that we're going to be cashless in 10 years' time. Well, that's another. Well, with Bitcoin, I've just been looking. Bitcoin's crashing now. Oh yeah, Bitcoin's a bubble. You want to get into Monero? Because Monero's a privacy coin. Bitcoin's just a crypto. privacy coins are the ones that will survive, but they're the ones that will be used on the dark web. That's the only thing.
And Bitcoin isn't used on the dark web?
It is used on the dark web, but it's not private. And as governments get more proficient in taking it down, big division between the privacy coins and the non-privacy coins. So the privacy coins are just going to go off, and they're the biggest privacy coins. So it's logical that Bitcoin, Ripple, Ethereum, and the rest of them, they will go on a slow start slide for the next 5-10 years, and slowly lose value.
The point is, because of the way that line becomes a bit more expensive and difficult, is that there's no depreciation over time. Surely, provided that demand for Bitcoin improves, and of course people are losing trust in the state now.
Like, why would you choose Bitcoin?
Because the name sells.
The name sells at the moment, but when the technology is so limited and
no, but the point is you can't. Yeah, the point is you can't have. You can't have Bitcoin inflation in the same way that you have inflation with state banks.
Exactly, but you get the same thing from now. The only inflation is from the mining, which is so not.
Well, I know that, but mining is actually.
Yeah, I understand that. So my point is that if you get why would you go for just a standard crypto when you can go for
Oh, I don't know, maybe you're employed by the
The thing is that the major media...
I'm joking, I'm taking it piece. Okay, I'll look into it. I'm assuming it's MONERO.
Yeah, privacy coins. So just looking at privacy coins, the only reason I say Monero is because it's the biggest privacy coin.
And one of the bad things about it is a lot of people are using Coinbase. It's a very bad platform.
Они подойдут туда, где...
Where the server just full of bugs.
Yeah, which is, you know, I think
No, well, believe in
younger generation growing up.
Drugs are going to be in more, you know, in more.
У меня прямо в микрофоне USA. Очень прикольно снимать решение суда по экстрадиции в Америку.
And to be honest, we're not that far away from it here. And in many ways, it's coming to us in other ways.
I think they're trying to I saw some report that the last big damage was discussing that. I think it's very useful, isn't it?
Every year. Oh, and then they're going to say, if we take the vaccine this year.
Time to dig a bunker.
I'd actually take the vaccine.
They're not recommendable. You can't go on the premise, you can't go into
Who get robbed? I don't keep much in the bank, so I must admit. Bit of gold, bit of Bitcoin. Oh no, thank you. Under the bed. It's hard to travel with, Bitcoin's easier. Unfortunately, I haven't got that much.
It's not capitalism we have. That's what we've got.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. When you say you're only
to dump the banners or we get arrested.
You know, if the government's defeated, that will really weaken the New World Order, and it could, this whole dystopian nightmare upon us could be swept away.
Yeah, I don't know why there aren't many other politicians here today. They should be here, because, you know, when are they going to speak out? I think there are some that, you know, privately would agree with what we're doing here and are against what's happening to Džulijan Asanž. But how long are they going to take before they speak out? Is it going to be another year? Is it going to be another 5 years? Is it going to be another 20 years? I mean, they're going to be dead before they speak out. I mean, there comes a time where you've got to stand up for what's right. And I think those people need to grow a spine and get out here. I could be with but I won't be. They need to grow a spine and get out here and start standing up for freedom and liberty before it's all gone. I mean, these people that sit in the House of Parliament and they walk through the lobbies with Matt Hancock taking away our freedoms with the Coronavirus Act, and that's another issue, but it's linked to this. And then they say, oh, but this is such a terrible thing, but they vote to take away our freedoms anyway. I mean, we've got a terrible thing going on here, and people can talk about it, you know, in the privacy of their own home. But if you're an elected politician, you've got to get out on the streets and you've got to support the people like Džulijan Asanž who are standing up for our rights. You can't keep quiet about this. The time for keeping quiet is over.
Yeah. Well done.
Right on. Right on.
Thanks, David.
Well, January the 11th, Parliament restarts, and I think, you know, these next few weeks there's going to be, well, we've got to put pressure directly on MPs to ask what the hell are they doing? Are they going to carry on allowing this dystopian nightmare to be thrust upon us? Or are they going to accept real science which shows the whole thing is fraud? And the vaccinations themselves are also fraud, and the vaccinations are not actually vaccines. They're not actually injecting a virus in you, they're injecting material which will give modify your genetic material, modify your DNA. I mean, it's an evil thing going on. And most politicians are completely stupid and ignorant, and don't even understand the facts. To have them making decisions like they do is a shame. But, you know, we have to get an accountable system in Britain. An accountable parliament.
You both had a scientific background, haven't
you? Yeah, I'm an astrophysicist and a physicist. And
geologist, aren't you?
Well, I'm a physicist, astrophysicist and theoretical physicist, and also a meteorologist.
Yeah, and I can see my background's in chemistry, obviously, yeah, as I was a chemistry teacher for 20 years or so. So, yeah, I mean, talking about the vaccines and so on, I mean, you've got these new experimental mRNA vaccines, which are not typical vaccines, which have proteins in them, protein antigens.
They're not vaccines.
Yeah,
a vaccine means that you've got, yeah, it's experimental. A vaccine means...
It's going to go crap.
Why have you single me out? No, one no. Please, you let us go.
Obviously, yeah, go on.
So I just felt very strongly about this. I wouldn't normally be breaking.
No problem, but obviously you've been given several warnings to leave by my colleagues now. Okay, so now we're going to start issuing tickets to breaching COVID legislation. So I've asked you to provide your details to my colleagues, so that's the issue of fine, and then if you continue to stay here, you'll be arrested. Okay? So my colleagues are going to issue you a ticket. Do you have any identification? Sorry?
It's such an important thing.
Yeah, so for 50,000 people. 50,000 COVID cases a day in London, you know, in the UK. Okay, we've got people not being able to see families. And I appreciate that you're, you know, very passionate about your issue. But the thing is, obviously, there is a Tier 4 lockdown. Protest is not allowed as part of that Tier 4 lockdown under temporary restrictions. And gatherings like this are literally causing a problem. So that's why there's going to be tickets issued now. You've been engaged with my colleagues. Okay. So you've had your chance to leave, you haven't done it.
I haven't really engaged with anyone yet.
Fine, no worries, it's been told to me. Yeah.
Have you got any ID on you, please? Name, anything with your name on?
Hang on, I will have.
Thank you.
Sorry,
that's okay. No hurry.
What's that? What's that?
Judge of defense discussing an application for bail. U.S. government will immediately appeal.
You heard it live, first exclusive. It's an exclusive. The judge is hearing an application for bail. The judge is hearing an application for bail.
Sir, I believe it's sincere for legislation.
Look at the elation on the protesters' face. Look how happy they are. Look, there's a little bit of hope at the end of the tunnel. No, it'll be a Beyonce. I told you, it doesn't matter what happens.
Oh, okay.
It'll be Beyonce.
Can I take title update, please? No extradition.
Can you tell me how you feel with the news?
Very happy, and something that I also been campaigning for so long, so many years.
You've never given up hope. You've never given up hope, have you? I can see how emotional you are. I've seen you many a time. I can see how happy you are. Brilliant, brilliant. How do you feel? How do you feel?
Free Džulijan Asanž! Free Džulijan Asanž!
Share this out there, guys. Exclusives, exclusive. This has not gone to the mainstream. Here we go, here we go, here we go.
Good work. This is wonderful. Wonderful news.
The work that demonstrators and people that are vocal about him.
Yeah. I think, you know, I think everyone working together, people demonstrating, the lawyers, the teams, and everyone is supported. I mean, everyone has got to be, you know, really happy with this. And I just, you know, I'm so proud of all the other people who are here, who've been out on the street, you know, longer than I have and much more than I have. You know, standing up for freedom, standing up for a good man who's doing good work and has been treated unjustly.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The world is a better place for Džulijan being free.
everybody, not just Djulijan Asanž. Freedom for the free press. Freedom for all the decent people here shouting and rejoicing. Fantastic.
Free Asanž! Free Asanž! Free Asanž! Free Asanž! Free Asanž! Free Asanž! Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Shut up! Free Julian Assange!
É que a juíza deu razão a todos os fatos que a promotoria colocou. Ela acredita que o tratado de extradição do Reino Unido não inclui crimes políticos, ou seja, que ele poderia ser desacreditado por um crime político. Ela acredita que o mais importante que fazer que ele assinou. I want to just see him walk out that front door. I want to see him walk out that door and just come over here and give a press conference.
So what happens
Free Džulijan Asanž! 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 Free Džulijan!
E por ser um homem altamente
I got arrested by cops. Free Assange! Free Assange! Free Assange! He tried to stop me coming back, and I ran to go run around him. And then he got arrested. Free Assange! Free Assange now! 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 Free Assange! Free Assange now! 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 Free Assange now!
There's going to be statements from Stella and Christian Hrafsson later on. We're still waiting on bail, but for now I introduce John Rees, who is the Don't Extradite Assange campaign head. So welcome, John.
Thanks very much. Well, that
is incredibly good news that's come out of the court today. But many of you won't have been able to watch the proceedings, so just let me explain to you what has and has not happened. First of all, the vast majority, I would say 95% of this judge's judgment was to uphold the prosecution's case for extradition. She refused extradition at the last moment, in the last words of her judgment, because she accepted that Džulijan Asanž was a suicide risk, and that if he was put under special administrative measures in the United States prison system, that would be an oppressive act. And on that basis, she refused extradition. What's going on at the moment is this. First of all, the United States are going to appeal this decision, and so the decision will be taken to a higher court, I expect, and we will have to fight this fight all over again. But at the moment, Edward Fitzgerald and Džulijan Asanž's lawyers are talking to him so that they can prepare a bail application. So that will be heard in 45 minutes' time in this court. So please, do celebrate that the American prison system is so bad that even this judge wouldn't send Džulijan Asanž into it. That's where we stand. That's where we stand today.
It's a moral victory to begin with.
This is a very emotional day for those of us who have worked with Džulijan for years and supported him for all these terrible, dreadful times. We are delighted that he is soon going to be a free man again. We heard today arguments from the judge which were deeply concerning. We heard that it is possible for people to be extradited from the UK on political grounds, that there is no bar to that. And that is something that ought to deeply concern all of us. And I hope that Parliament will revisit the legislation that was passed in the post-9/11 panic that removed the protection for people suffering political persecution from being prosecuted by other governments. We have a judgment which still says that the UK can take that the United States can take anybody, any journalist, out with their jurisdiction and prosecute them for telling the truth about American war crimes. That aspect of the judgment, deeply, deeply concerning. But all of that is for tomorrow. Today we are swept away by our joy at the fact that Džulijan will shortly be with us. We have a judgment which I think makes an excuse to deliver justice, an excuse based on the appalling conditions in American prisons, an excuse based on the effect that would have on American mental health, and perhaps a sign that the authorities are not prepared to follow through the persecution and destruction of a man for political reasons. And I'm delighted that this has been done. I'm delighted we have seen some humanity at the end of the process. It doesn't really matter, in a sense, how the justice has been reached, even if it's been reached by a peculiar process. We've seen a whole series of cases where extradition to the United States has been avoided on psychiatric pretexts, whereas the truth is that it's a recognition that a deeply flawed system of persecution should not be enacted by British courts. The judge has indicated that Džulijan will probably not be with us today. The American government has indicated that it's going to appeal the judgment, but there is a very good chance that Džulijan will be allowed out on bail pending the appeal, and I'm certainly very, very hopeful that we will have him walking with us this week. Thank you very much indeed.
Free Assange! Free! Free! Džulijan Asanž! Free! Free! Džulijan Asanž!
Go, Fidel!
I want to thank you, all of you, for being there, supporting the freedom of expression, supporting Džulijan Asanž, the man, the journalist, the activist, the freedom fighter. This is a victory of all the people who never gave up. The British judicial system wanted to save the face today. For those who were inside listening to the judge, it was like listening to the prosecutor's statement to begin with. If it's not for the very, very fragile health condition of Džulijan Asanž, he will be already extradited. Every journalist should be concerned about what was said today in court, because the political arguments provided by the United States were upheld by the British judicial system. I repeat, it's only the doctor's assessment of the fragile health condition of Džulijan Asanž that have saved him from extradition. The judge had to recognize the appalling, the oppressive conditions of the US prison system under special administrative measures for espionage cases, and the risk of Džulijan going for suicidal if he is extradited. That was the only thing that stopped that. So be aware that freedom of expression is still under attack. If it was not for the health condition, Džulijan will be extradited. Thank you, all of you. This was a case not only about freedom of expression, it was also a case about human rights. It was a case about the right for political asylum. And I want to say something. I feel very proud for my country protecting Džulijan Asanž for so many years. Bravo. Against all international pressure. Bravo. And I feel ashamed about the decision of the Ecuadorian government in 2019 to give up and to hand Džulijan over to the Americans and to the British. Well, let's hope that Džulijan will be walking free as he should and keeps defending himself in freedom. Too much damage has been already done. Who is going to compensate him for 10 years of persecution, of defamation, of calling him hacker, of calling him rapist, of treating him as a criminal. This is the world upside down. The world criminals in impunity, the ones who reveal the crimes, are still persecuted. But let's celebrate today this victory. This victory belongs to all of you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Vincent, the Director of International Campaigns for Reporters Without Borders. We have systematically monitored these entire extradition proceedings in February at the Woolwich Crown Court, in September at this court, and then today. We're the only NGO that has done so in the face of severe restrictions imposed by this court. We welcome today's decision. We are relieved that Mr. Assange will not be extradited to the United States. We share concerns about his health and his mental health. We have been highlighting this for quite some time, that he has been vulnerable, that we have stated, and I'll repeat today, that his extradition was a possible matter of life or death. So in this regard, this was the right decision. But we were concerned by many other elements of what we heard this morning. It is very clear that on substantive grounds, this country would have handed Mr. Assange over to the United States to face trial there. We disagree with the judge's assessment that this case was not politically motivated. We disagree with her assessment that it was not about free speech. We remain convinced that Mr. Assange has been targeted for his contributions to journalism. As we all know, the publication of the leaked information informed extensive public interest reporting. The public had a right to these stories, and the public still has a right to these type of stories. We're concerned that this decision leaves the door open for further prosecutions in this regard. If this happened to somebody that did not suffer from the mental health issues that Mr. Assange suffers, they could easily be handed over. Somebody else could just as easily be made an example of in the same way. So regardless of the fact that he will now not go to the United States, a clear signal has been sent that the arms of the US can reach everywhere, that journalists everywhere have to be a bit concerned about what they publish, particularly related to national security issues pertaining to the United States government. I would have liked to see a stronger position from this court, and indeed the UK government, in support of press freedom of expression, of human rights in this regard. So we continue to make a point on the broader principles here, and note as well that the Espionage Act must be reformed. It lacks a public interest offence. If anybody else is pursued in this way, they cannot adequately defend themselves. No publisher, no journalist, and no source. And here too in this country, the Official Secrets Act lacks a public interest offence. So until these broader issues are addressed, journalists remain at risk in this country, in the United States, and internationally. So again, while we welcome today's decision, we retain those concerns, and we will continue to advocate for reforms to these problematic laws in both countries. We also call urgently for Mr. Assange to be released without further delay. We urge the judge to grant bail without any further delay in this, as he faces serious health risks in Belmarsh prison now, with COVID infections sharply on the rise in his prison block. If anything happens to him while he should now be released, it is fully the UK's legal and moral responsibility. So we call again for his immediate release. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, sorry, I know I said I was finished, but can I address access issues? Because actually what we faced this morning was outrageous. So many of you know our position about open justice restrictions in this case. We have documented extensive and evolving barriers to open justice since day one of this case. This is why we've been the only NGO to systematically monitor, because we've been left to fight our way in at every step, and this was only possible thanks to the support of this community of grassroots activists. The public stepped in where this court failed to recognize the role of professional NGO observers in ensuring scrutiny of these proceedings and ensuring open justice. But this morning, at the last hurdle, we were out here before 5 a.m. this morning and faced extensive police pressure. For the first time in my 15-year career, I repeatedly faced the threat of arrest this morning in attempting to get into a court to do my job, to monitor a case of concern. This is unacceptable in the United Kingdom in 2021. So there are also broader issues here of open justice that must be addressed. Proceedings in any case of public interest must be open to scrutiny by the media, by NGOs such as myself, professional observers that do this in countries around the world, and by members of the public. The restrictions we saw in this trial were unacceptable. So we will continue to advocate for reforms to open justice to in the United Kingdom. Thank you.
That's it for now, guys. Thank you. Stella's going to come out when the court is finished.
What's the right to publish? So publishers have no right to publish, even if it is in the public interest to do so. And really, the precedents set by this are extremely worrying. It's only in Julian's past medical history that he was out from extradition in the end. So
we have now. That's the energy.
When we started speeches, everyone went live. The result.
I don't know, I can't express, words can't express.
You look like you're elated.
Absolutely. I mean, who wouldn't be, for God's sake? Just extraordinary.
It was the news that you wanted to hear, wasn't it?
Absolutely, but didn't think we would.
No.
We really did not expect it.
No. We've got to keep our fingers crossed now that hopefully he does walk out and they're not going to keep him in pending appeal.
Right. Well, Craig Murray was just saying that they're going back in and they're going to talk about bail. Yeah, exactly. And that maybe by the end of the week he'll be a free man. I mean, he'll be out on bail, out in the streets.
I'm hoping he spent the last 10 years. 10 years as a political prisoner.
Right.
He's committed nothing except for releasing the truth.
Yeah,
and that's what journalists do, don't they?
Exactly. Yeah.
They release the truth.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mate. I can't believe it.
Sam, it's like...
How do you feel?
I am over the fucking moon. This is so fucking brilliant. Not just for Julian, but for everyone. But make no mistake, even if he gets bail in a few days' time, it's not the end of the battle for all these people. There's a dangerous precedent being set in terms of press freedom, and all I can say is one day at a time. Today is an absolute victory. Fantastic.
Do you believe the verdict now is obviously going to set a precedent for future for journalism?
Hey, I'm not a legal expert. Let's leave that to Craig Murray. Read his blog. People like Craig Murray stand proud as being good people who keep the
Who was that again? Craig Murray?
Craig Murray.
He's ex-ambassador for Uzbekistan.
Yeah. So he's a reliable source.
Oh, sure, mate. Martin wants a photo. Dude, watch where you're going.
I'm ecstatic. Freedom for all. Freedom. Woo! Let's breathe some air like this. Breathe some now. Woo! Take a deep breath.
for some free air. You got to pay for it. This is human rights, freedom. As long as you don't do anything wrong, it's your right, freedom.
How are you? Boss, all right? I'm all right, mate.
Now they won't even touch us.
Just arrived. Just arrived.
No, I've been man news at Southern Crown Court this morning for the Prince of Copper. He's been in jail until the 14th of April. He's got 2 weeks to vote for the stay shot for no evidence. 2 weeks, all in half.
Free Džulijan Asanž! 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 Džulijan Asanž! Free 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 Džulijan Asanž!
So the bail application could be hearing soon. Quite unlikely that it'll be out today.
Arguments we heard related to the Espionage Act charges and the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act charge. The judge was systematically rejecting the defense's argument and finding in favor of the prosecution's argument. So it looked to be quite bleak, and I was fully expecting extradition then until the health issues were addressed. So it was a pleasant surprise in that moment. I keep using the term relief, and that's the most accurate, because again, this should have never happened. He should never have been in these conditions.
When was the turning point?
At the very end. So it was only the last few minutes of the decision that the health issues and the mental health issues were addressed. And so that was a pleasant turn at the end. I was fully convinced until that moment that the decision would be for extradition. While we're disappointed at the moment that he will not be immediately released, we'll find out today if the judge, first of all, if the defense will apply today for bail and if the judge will consider it today. He should not have to spend another moment of his life deprived of his liberty and facing the health risks and the mental health risks of his continued incarceration at Belmarsh prison. So we hope and we call again for his release without delay.